The film's just been released in Britain, and David Fuller's been along to talk to Samuel Moaz.
This is the moment that the reality of war hits home for the young tank gunner. Open fire and become a killer. Don't, and be responsible for the deaths of his fellow soldiers. It's the moral dilemma at the heart of the most critically acclaimed Israeli film in years, which arrives in Britain as the winner of the Golden Lion at Venice. Claustrophobic, graphic and powerful. For the entire film, the audience is stuck with the crew inside a tank during Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982. The film's realism is not surprising. 25 years on, the young tank gunner is the film's director.
I tried the best I could that you won't feel like an ordinary audience watching a plot rolling in front of you. I want you to feel it, because in this case, feeling is understanding. Except a few masterpieces, all the war films sell us entertainment in a way that you have heroes and sacrifice acts, and when the hero dies, even, you know, the blood is sexy. But this is not real war. And in real war, you are afraid, you are shaking, because you feel the death.
The film tackles what was once a taboo subject in Israel. The Lebanon War of 1982 has been called Israel's Vietnam. But veterans of the war have ensured it's no longer taboo. 2 years ago, the animated film Waltz with Bashir, also directed by a former soldier, dealt with the massacre of Palestinians in the Shabra and Shatila refugee camps during the war. The conflict was expected to be quick and easy. After swift victories in the wars of 67 and 73, it was supposed to be a quick incursion to deal with Palestinian militants operating from over the border. But the young soldiers quickly found themselves in a new kind of war. Urban, brutal, messy. The kind of conflict which Israel would become more and more familiar with.
In the Six-Day War, for example, in Kippur War, the war kept its, if I can say, game rules. I mean, on the right side one army, on the left side another. Each army has its own uniform to see the difference between them, you know. But in the Lebanon War, all those basic rules simply didn't exist. I mean, the war took place inside neighborhood. The enemy, it was something like 10 enemies, you know, was wearing jeans, so you couldn't see the difference between soldiers and civilians.
And the conflict dragged on for years. Israel finally withdrew from Lebanon 18 years later, in 2000. But it was the next war in Lebanon in 2006 that convinced Samuel Moaz that he had to make the film.
In that point, I felt suddenly that that the film is not anymore about me and my needs and my problems and my memories and my pain. Suddenly I realized that if I will find the way to create an effective film, it can maybe here and there save life.
The director says that making the film was a kind of therapy for him, but one that would never be complete.
You will feel responsible because of what you did. And this is the first thought in the morning and the last thought before you are falling asleep for the rest of your life. You just need to learn to live with it.